Hello, my name's Nathan, and this is Montana, good boy, along with Miss Penelope, good girl. We're basically in the area of animal rehabilitation, whether it be cats, dogs, horses or otherwise. We work with the RSPCA, or previously worked with the RSPCA in New South Wales, in developing the rehabilitation program and behavioural assessment, animal certification and other things that are used currently along those lines in the RSPCA today. My original background came from, I grew up with my great-grandparents and grandparents and mum and everyone sort of sharing custody, I guess, whilst I was young, up until about 6 or 7, and they had horses living in the Newcastle region. He was a trotting trainer and owner and rider and all this sort of stuff, and he was one of the first people to use natural horsemanship. Stan Atkins is his name, and so sort of use the natural way there, yet we all still sort of use the old school methods with the dogs, sort of check chain and not really knowing any better and or having any way to learn. We then moved down to Victoria, lived on a sheep property and a few places down really rural areas in the highlands and Yea, where a lot of people in that sort of area had the mentality that if it's a working dog, it growls, bites, breaks the skin, does something aggressive, then it's got to be shot. You know, that's basically what happens, and you get another one. Some of the places where I was at, and one of the ones, and my family looking after a property and things, you know, they had up to 16 working dogs, and I personally, unfortunately, have euthanized through shooting, put down, killed, murdered, whatever you'd like to say, dogs because I thought they were aggressive or this, that, and the other, and even worse than that. The ones that I used to like or we wanted to keep because they did it, we'd beat with a pole, and we'd beat them. The more we beat them, the more we liked them. Not out of a desire to hurt animals, out of a desire to keep the animal. So I continued that thought and try and thing up until I was about 21. I went to university, did majority of the nursing degree, with the exception of the exams and the last bit in the third year, and went to America, fell in love with a girl that didn't work out, but her family, and she's great. Melissa, thank you very much for everything. Basically, she used to walk dogs at pounds and have an association with, you know, the shelters and things in the US. And so she got me involved in this. I was doing a summer camp program, and there was a whole heap of dogs called bait dogs or fighting dogs. Practice dogs. They'd break their teeth out their legs or you know, things like this, so they're fighting dogs that get practice and wouldn't get hurt, and they just throw them on the side of the road or whatever they may do. The staff and shelters over there, generally they get put in as a really, really high risk dog and can't work with them, so they're defecating, urinating in their cage, or if they won't leave and go out through the guillotine door, they can't get them out, and food, you know, if they won't eat it, they can't get to other spots, and so it was pretty bad. So I said to him, well, my insurance covers me. I'm a typical Aussie boy thinking old school methods and, you know, silliness. I'll show them what to do, I'll fix it. So they said, yep, not a worry. So I went in there, tried to start doing it old school, check, chain, come here, do it now methods. And yeah, for animals and things that have been severely messed up, like I'm sure a lot of people can relate to and have had animals that they can relate to, aggression is not always the best cause or best path. Basically, if you look at getting respect and you look at getting a friendship, and then you can sort of command or demand or request different things. But up until then, if you're in a bad situation and someone says do this, you're probably going to revolt or not respond appropriately. So I learnt to do that in America with lots and lots of dogs, saving ones that no one else could do, learning off as many people as I possibly could. Sue Sternberger in Dunbar over there. Caesar wasn't really on TV and stuff when I originally started, wish he was, or somebody was at least. Like Victoria Steadwell, another person, Jan Brown, Jan Fennell, Tony Dogs Knight, D-O-G-Z, Knight. I've just learnt of him, but he's the son of Jan Fennell. Tarid Regas, she's written a book, easier than looking her name up, like On Talking Terms with Dogs. Jan's book, The Dog Listener. These are principles and ideas that I developed with sort of trial and error in discussion with rescue organisations and people who took animals who said that there was no other way to fix it. Brought back to Australia, I was actually becoming a martial arts instructor from previous stuff I used to do, and the RSPCA sort of found out what I was doing there, said they wanted to create a job. So I went and worked as an ambulance driver for them for a couple of weeks. Very casual job, not a lot of money because people do that because they love it, not because they have to, or because it pays well. So then after that we started the creation of the first behavioural training certificate and things, hence the previous RSPCA stuff. So I worked there for a few years until through politics I left. Over vets deciding and people deciding on animal behaviour for doing an assessment on day one or within a 5-minute thing on outside of the cage without even removing it from the environment. You know, it's the breed of dog it was generally shuts down, and dogs that are somewhat scared in cages as opposed to the ones that look happy are normally the dogs that you want to be choosing. If they're used to being out on their own and stuff and not around people, they're normally the ones that are looking friendly or happy in a lot of the cages. The ones that are a bit more scared and timid are ones that are used to being in a family, not used to being left on their own or with no attention. So having that argument after creating the certification, that's why I left there. Still love them and help them and continued to take their dogs for another 7 years. Up until last year. In anyone that failed an assessment that the staff had fallen in love with, they deal with so many thousands, and there's so many good staff there, of dogs every day. Every now and again they fall in love with one, and if it doesn't pass, they'd sort of send it to me and say, you know, Nathan, can you fix it? Miss Penelope is a helper, and so is Montana. So yeah, so that's where I got to. Then I started a behavioural business just for vets and trainers and things around the Newcastle area who, as a next resort, as another option to euthanasia or medication. So yeah, we thank you to Montana. He teaches the dogs, I teach the people, but we guarantee 100% success as long as you're prepared to put in the effort and the work.